Welcome, everyone. I'm Janine Mull from iHeartMedia's K103 Radio. So happy to be your co-host this evening. And I'm here with Andrew Asada, who I call Andy, and most people do, CEO of Susan G. Komen, Oregon and Southwest Washington.
Hello to everyone out there in your homes, in your patios, or wherever you're staying safe. And thank you, Janine, for being our co-host tonight. The Komen team so appreciates your unwavering support over the years at Komen, especially during these historical times that we face. And our audience is great. There are several hundred people participating right now across our region in Oregon and Southwest Washington.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm delighted to be part of this event, Andy. You know, I've been involved with Komen, Oregon and Southwest Washington for the past 14 years as a participant, team captain, media partner for the Race for the Cure, and now the More Than Pink Walk. And I'm also a 17-year breast cancer survivor. My sister Kathy is a survivor too. I got involved with Komen because I needed to do something to help other people, especially after I had so much help during my own battle with breast cancer. Every year, I see the many ways Komen, Oregon, and Southwest Washington helps to finance research, work with the community, provide services and education, and with care and assistance for breast cancer patients, survivors, family members, and so much more. We know so much more than we did 14 years ago about breast cancer. Survival rates are on the rise, and people are not living in the shadows and suffering alone. And I give a lot of that credit to Susan G. Komen Foundation. My hope is that through events like Lunch for the Cure, this year's Happy Hour for the Cure, is that through community, through our generosity and love, we continue to support our local Komen's amazing work. Through them, I know that someday we will live in a world without breast cancer. Thank you. Well, Andy, shall we announce the winners of the raffle packages?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, let's get started. The winner of the awesome Alaska Airlines tickets is Roger Pattison.
All right.
Yeah, Roger. And for the Stephanie Inn package with that cute little pink wagon full of goodies, the winner is Annette Johnson. Congratulations.
Oh, so happy to both of you. Annette, wonderful that you won that as well. I wonder if I could fit in Roger's suitcase.
Well, you can try.
I'm a small guy. I really hope you enjoy these trips, and feel free to share your photos with us so we can share that with our donors.
And remember, we're still taking bids on the auction packages until 7:30, so let your fingers do the walking.
So for the raffle and auction package winners, Komen staff will contact you to set a date and time to pick them up. So look for a call from us at Komen, either an email or a phone call, and we'll be sure to get that to you.
And sponsors, I hope you're enjoying the beautiful flower arrangements by Honor Flowers, wine from Stoller Family Estate and Chehalem Winery, and cookies by Sarah's Cookies. And let's not forget those great Tita vodka drinks. All are wonderful supporters of Komen.
Everyone likes their Tito's, right?
Love my Tito's. You know, there are many volunteers we want to thank for their time, talent, and treasure to help make this event come to life. And I'd like to recognize the Komen Happy Hour for the Cure Committee and their spirit and tenacity to make sure we had this great event.
I also want to extend my gratitude to the Komen Board of Directors, who I work so closely with our team. They work tirelessly with us in delivering our outstanding mission and program services. And I also want to thank our major sponsors who made this event possible long before the spring when we had to postpone our event. They really kicked off our fundraising event. So beginning with Hoffman Construction Company, the team there has just been amazing supporters of Komen. We have other sponsors that include our friends at Oregon State University with the OSU Foundation, Rain Dance Vineyards, Vision Capital Management, and of course the Zidell companies. I also want to thank additional sponsors at the honor level and the faith level for the many contributions they've made to Komen, Oregon. You've made such a difference, and thank you from all of us at Komen.
Yes, they really do make a major impact on all of our events, and we cannot thank you enough. Now it's time to learn more about Komen's work in the past year and how it's changed in the last 6 months. You'll also get a chance to hear an amazing story by our keynote speaker, Ty Hardin-Moore.
Thanks, Janine. And I do very much look forward to sharing with you what we've been doing since we last gathered almost 18 months ago now because of the pandemic. And it seems so long ago in so many different ways. But before I do, let's take a moment to watch this video, courtesy of our wonderful partner, Coin6 News. Well, as you can see, we've been very busy this past year serving breast cancer patients and their families on the continuum of their journey and treatment. And yet, as we completed our fiscal year this past March, the nation you awoke to what has become the worst pandemic in 100 years, affecting every aspect of our lives. We also witnessed a reckoning of racial injustices gripping our communities, both of which continue to this day. And if that wasn't enough, our communities across the West Coast are dealing with devastating wildfires, many decimating communities and displacing families. Still, through all this, we've always found new ways to connect with each other and share and hear the challenges facing all of us and the humanity we have together. All of us at Komen hope you and your loved ones are continuing to be safe and practicing social distancing in these uncertain times, just like we are tonight, and you are in your homes. Our team knows all too well that breast cancer does not stop during these extraordinarily difficult and historical times. For-profit and nonprofits alike have no doubt been challenged. We know more and more families would experience layoffs and furloughs, resulting in more uninsured or underinsured Oregonians and Washingtonians. We have seen donations from the community decrease significantly because our community and corporate partners understandably have been forced to pull back on their annual support to Komen, which has had a sobering impact on our fundraising efforts. This is why this event tonight and you are so important to this cause. Early in the lockdown, our staff and board quickly began assessing ways that we could move forward and how the pandemic and the economy would impact our affiliate here in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Knowing that this pandemic could possibly extend for several months, we looked carefully at all operating expenses and enacted ongoing reductions which have affected all aspects of the organization, including staff, salary reductions, staff layoffs, and slashing event expenses, all for the cause of our mission. The Komen team also learned how to continue our work virtually and from our homes, and from our living rooms. We made these shared sacrifices to ensure our work would continue. So as a result, we will permanently move to virtual operations and exit our Komen office in downtown Portland on November 1st. And I want to stop for a moment and pause and thank Jim Mark and Melvin Mark Companies for the past 6 months of providing 50% rent reduction to our affiliate, and now freeing us from the remainder of our long-term lease with no penalty. This is a true gift in protecting Komen's mission with heart. So thank you, Jim, and thank you, Melvin Mark. At the same time, we examined how we could better support the communities with our programs and services. In April, the first action we took was to support more patients in treatment with funds through Komen's Treatment Access Program. In partnership with hospitals and community health clinics, we expanded eligibility and more flexibility to help underserved patients get to complete treatment. So since March, we have seen more than a 44% increase in financial assistance need through the Treatment Access Program. Our commitment is to continue to provide direct patient support as long and as far as we can, as long as we have the funding to do so. Second, Komen enlisted the talents of medical professionals to offer a new series called Health at Home on a weekly basis, which many of you who are viewing this participated in. Each live stream event focused on a key topic affecting breast cancer patients and offered an opportunity for them to pose questions. The events offered a more in-depth understanding of COVID-19 on different types of breast cancer, how to take care of their mental health, and how to navigate virtual medical appointments. And it also promoted their own emotional well-being. All were designed to provide education, comfort, promise, and we received very positive feedback. So thank you for participating, and thank you for our medical experts who made this possible for us. I'm happy to say that in August, we did successfully hold our first ever virtual More Than Pink walk, formerly known as Race for the Cure, which Janine was an amazing MC and champion of. People gathered in their neighborhoods and parks to walk, bike, run, and paddleboard. People even paddleboard and kayaked. Whatever it took to come together as a community from a safe place. I'm proud to say that we are $5,000 shy of our new COVID budgeted goal of $300,000. And that is amazing that we've gotten that far. And we're so close. And we know still fundraising is continuing through the end of the month of October. And we are grateful for the hundreds of people who came out to collectively support our work from their communities. Next, our highly regarded Lunch for the Cure turned into Happy Hour for the Cure, as we stand here on the stage. And it was moved out by 6 months. And yet here we are, and we're beyond grateful to be with you here tonight, and that you're here with us, that you've taken your time to share your time, your energy, your talent, your resource to support Komen in this way. We also knew that we anticipated our Breast Cancer Issues Conference was going to move. It was an annual education event for medical professionals and breast cancer patients and their loved ones. Now it's been moved to May 2021, where we hope to gather in person at the Hyatt in downtown in Portland. Of course, this month also marks Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our Worship in Pink program is already underway, of course, virtually, and it marks 10 years of work in the faith-based communities in the greater Portland, Vancouver area. And last but not least, our African American Initiative, officially launched last winter before the pandemic to address the unacceptable health disparities in mortality rates and racial injustices that exist within our healthcare systems and beyond, including our streets and everywhere in this community. The initiative is paramount and is a priority for our work in the breast cancer community, regardless of the pandemic, and that will continue. Our North Star has and continues to be to protect our mission programs. We will make assessments and changes, like all do, as needed, and we will adjust as we need to while we're in the grips of this pandemic. On behalf of the Komen staff and board of directors, our volunteers who stand by us every day, our deep gratitude is being shared with you, the individuals, as well as our community, corporate, foundation, and healthcare partners who stand with us every day to advance the mission and the work of Komen. So thank you for your time here tonight. Janine?
One person who understands breast cancer all too well and is an incredible asset to our collective work is Ty Hardin Moore. I interviewed Ty last year for a piece that we shared on the air at K103, and when I met her for the first time in the lobby of the radio station with her family, I was humbled to see this beautiful young woman connected to an oxygen tank to help her breathe. I immediately thought how lucky I am to be able to look at my own breast cancer journey from the other side. Ty is an inspiration and a bright, positive light. She's living with metastatic breast cancer and our important keynote speaker tonight.
And of course, Ty is our African American Initiative Manager, including DEI work that we're doing as an organization. And I couldn't be more grateful she's part of our Komen team. So without further ado, let's hear Ty's story.
Hi, I'm Ty Hardin Moore, African American Initiative and DEI Manager at Susan G. Komen Organ in Southwest Washington. In 2010, I made the life-altering decision to follow my dreams and move my family across the country to attend law school at Florida A&M University College of Law. When I made that decision, I had no idea how much my life would change. Less than 1 year later, at the end of my first year of law school, I was diagnosed with stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer at age 31. My breast cancer symptoms began a few months before I was diagnosed. I had no lump. Instead, I experienced swelling and redness in my right breast. At the beginning, I largely ignored it, thinking some strange Florida bug had bitten me or that I was having a reaction to the Florida's blistering summer heat. Eventually, the swelling got so bad that my right breast was twice the size of my left breast. I knew something was wrong, so I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room, and he did. While there, I asked the doctor if it was possible that I had breast cancer. At the time, I knew nothing about inflammatory breast cancer, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I asked for a mammogram and was told no, because I was too young to receive one and I didn't have a lump. The doctor tried to convince me that my symptoms were nothing to worry about and I simply had an infected milk duct and a round of antibiotics would clear it right up. I agreed to go home with the prescription for antibiotics, but not without a referral to an OBGYN to follow up with. After 10 days of antibiotics, my breast was even more swollen and red and now looked like the peel of an orange. So I went in to see the OBGYN that the emergency room doctor referred me to. She walked in, and after a brief introduction, she began her exam. She closed my hospital gown as quickly as she had opened it, took my hand, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I'm sorry, honey, but you have breast cancer." At that moment, it felt like time had stopped. After a few moments of panic, I began to listen to her again as she explained what would happen next. I would go for an emergency mammogram that she was sure would indicate breast cancer, and then I would have a biopsy to confirm it. She then explained that inflammatory breast cancer is rare, but very aggressive, so we had to move quickly. As my head continued to spin, she politely asked if her fellow could come in to view my breast, since this may be the only time that they get to see inflammatory breast cancer in real life, and I obliged. Once they left the room and I was alone, all I could do was cry. How was I going to tell my husband? What was I going to say to my kids, who were only 4 and 5 at the time? Would I be able to finish law school? What did all of this really mean? What was I going to do? I walked out of the office and I called my husband, Andre, as I walked to the car. When he answered, I took a deep breath and I said, "I have breast cancer." Needless to say, he was just as shocked and upset to hear the news as I was. I didn't know what to say to him. I was still in a daze myself. So I told him we would talk when I got home. Next, I called my parents in Seattle. Like Andre and I, they were also shocked and devastated. A couple of days later, I had a mammogram and a biopsy and anxiously awaited the results. I was hoping against hope that this was all a mistake and I was fine. As I sat in my law school's atrium on the afternoon of July 18, 2011, waiting to head to my criminal law class, my phone rang. It was the doctor, and she said, "I'm sorry, but your biopsy results came back, and both tumors are cancer. Judy, the patient navigator, will be in touch with you tomorrow to help." I knew in that moment my life was forever changed. The next day, I spoke with Judy and learned that the first thing I needed to do was to find an oncologist. You would think that that would be pretty simple, but it wasn't. I was an unemployed law student and I was on state Medicaid insurance. Every oncologist office that I called either didn't accept Medicaid or stated that I needed to be seen at the free clinic first and then referred to their office for treatment. And that process could take 1 month or more, time I did not have. So I called Judy back, crying and pleading for help to find an oncologist willing to treat me. She called in a favor and got me an appointment with the best oncologist in Central Florida. Now that I had an oncologist, it was time to begin treatment and talk to my children. How do you explain breast cancer to a 4 and 5-year-old? I still don't know the answer to that, but Andre and I did our best to be honest with them. We explained that Mama's hair will fall out, but I would still be beautiful. We explained that Mama would be tired and sick, but their hugs and kisses would help give me strength. Overall, they showed an incredible amount of maturity and strength for their ages. Though I must admit, my daughter had a hard time dealing with my hair loss. My treatment was aggressive. It had to be to fight such an aggressive form of cancer. I fought through 18 grueling rounds of chemotherapy that caused sickness so severe that by the end of it, I truly believed that one more treatment would kill me. I fought through a bilateral mastectomy that meant a permanent change to my body and my sense of womanhood. And I fought through 6.5 weeks of 5-day-a-week radiation that burned my skin so badly, the radiation oncologist considered placing me in the burn unit. I went through hell, but I fought every step of the way. I fought for myself, but more so, I fought for my family because I knew that they needed me and I was determined to stay here with them. Though cancer made me physically weak, at the same time, it gave me a strength I didn't even know I had. As I progressed through treatment, I began sharing my story and quickly learned that I was not alone. There were too many women, particularly African American women, who had to fight to get a proper diagnosis because they were too young to have cancer. There were too many women out there who were afraid to burden their families with their diagnosis, so they kept it a secret. There were too many women who didn't seek treatment at all because of the financial burden it would place on them and their family. So I continued to share my story and encourage others to be diligent about their breast health. But what I learned most from sharing my story was the importance of being your own best advocate. From the beginning of my breast cancer journey, I had to advocate for myself and for what I needed. Through sharing my story, I encouraged others to be their own best advocates and to ask for what they need as they move through their personal cancer journey, and to not stop until they get the support that they needed to get through it. In May 2012, my journey with inflammatory breast cancer came to an end when I completed radiation and was deemed cancer-free. I returned to my pre-breast cancer life and began to live again, without the dark cloud of cancer hanging over me. I graduated from law school in 2014 and moved my family back to the Pacific Northwest soon after. Everything was going well until 6 years after my initial diagnosis, when I fell ill while traveling home from a speaking at a breast cancer event in Florida. While on the plane, I became short of breath and passed out in the aisle. When I came to, there was a small crowd of flight attendants and passengers around me. One of the passengers was a doctor, and she asked if I had any health problems or if I was on any medication. I told her no, but I shared that I was taking tamoxifen for breast cancer, but I was cancer-free. She urged me to follow up with my doctor when I got home. Once I was off the plane, I noticed I was still short of breath, but felt okay overall. The following day, I began to cough and assumed I had caught a cold while traveling. After a few more days of feeling very sick with a painful cough and shortness of breath, I started to think I had pneumonia, which I had had before. My doctor started me on antibiotics and said I should feel better in a few days. After another week, I was feeling worse and I could barely breathe. My doctor prescribed more antibiotics. Another week went by and I still wasn't any better. I went in to see my doctor, and by the time I walked the short distance from the elevator to the front desk, I was so out of breath, I fainted. My doctor was still convinced I had pneumonia and urged me to try a third round of antibiotics, but something in my gut told me this was something else, something antibiotics wasn't going to fix. I asked for a referral to a pulmonologist, and after some convincing, I received it. When I met with the pulmonologist, she too believed I had pneumonia, but she placed me on oxygen, and I was able to convince her that I should get a CT scan to be sure what was happening in my body. She agreed, and the CT scan did indeed show something, but she wasn't quite sure what it was. So she referred me to a thoracic surgeon for a lung biopsy. The surgeon prepared me for the possibility that I may have lung disease, and I again anxiously awaited biopsy results. Once home from the surgery, I quickly became ill again and was unable to breathe. Andre rushed me to the emergency room, where they got me stabilized and transferred me to the ICU. As I sat in the ICU room alone, a doctor I had never met before came in and delivered shocking news. You have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. It cannot be cured, but it can be treated. Unfortunately, it will probably be the thing that kills you. I was angry at the coldness in which this news was delivered to me. But I was even more angry that again, I was going to have to call my husband and tell him news that I was sure was going to shatter his world. I was angry that my kids were going to have to endure watching me fight cancer again. And this time, None of us knew what the outcome was going to be. I was 37. I had been diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer in my lungs. I was oxygen dependent, and I felt like my life was quickly fading away. I prayed for guidance and peace. I prayed for clarity so that when I woke up in the morning, I would know what to do and how to handle this. And sure enough, it came. I woke up with a plan to find out as much as I could about metastatic breast cancer and my treatment options. As I began researching metastatic breast cancer, I found that treatment options had greatly advanced in recent years, and it was no longer an immediate death sentence, but it was still a very scary disease with a very poor prognosis. Research suggests that the life expectancy of someone with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer is 1.5 to 2 years. As I read those statistics, I decided two things. One, those statistics wouldn't apply to me. They couldn't apply to me because I had too much living to do. I had to live to see my children graduate from high school, graduate from college, get married, and have children of their own. I called out to God. I bargained with God and pleaded for more time. The second thing I decided was that it was time to take action. I again took the reins and began advocating for myself, making my wishes clear to every doctor involved in my care. I wanted the most aggressive treatment, and I wanted it fast. It was time to fight and fight hard. So I began treatment, this time knowing that while the treatment would eventually change, it would never end, and I would have to endure some form of treatment for the rest of my life if I wanted a chance to live. Another way I took action was by becoming involved with Komen, Oregon's African American Initiative. The aim of the African American Initiative is to address disparities among African American women, particularly around late-stage diagnosis and mortality rates. This initiative is so important because despite similar screening rates, Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women. As Komen's African American Initiative Manager, I am working with our community and our health systems to collect data and identify the interventions needed to address these disparities and save lives. As I enter my third year of living with metastatic breast cancer, I want you to know one thing: I deserve to live. I deserve the opportunity to see my children grow up. I deserve to grow old with my husband. I deserve to be able to make plans for the future without wondering if I'll live to see those plans come to fruition. I deserve to live. If you believe that I and all of us living with breast cancer deserve to live, I ask you to support Susan G. Komen, Oregon, and Southwest Washington so Komen can continue to support people like me by funding research that focuses on finding effective treatment options until there is a cure for breast cancer, and programming like our Treatment Access Program that eliminates barriers for those who have to travel for breast cancer treatment. With your support, we can make a difference. Thank you.
Ty's story is heart-wrenching, powerful, and inspiring all at the same time. It shows the importance for Komen's work, especially with the African American Initiative. Unfortunately, Ty's story is one of thousands from people who will be diagnosed, survive, live with, or die from breast cancer. This is our time to help reduce those numbers and one day eliminate them completely by donating today to Susan G. Komen, Oregon, and Southwest Washington. Tonight, there are several generous donors who wish to energize Komen's work. Please listen to the challenge made right now. We have 3 families who have collectively pledged $70,000 to support the Komen Gray Family Fund for Advanced Breast Cancer Research, African American Initiative, and the Tony Mountain Fund for Treatment Access.
And I want to extend my personal heartfelt gratitude to Joe and Jane Gray, to Mary Boyle and her family, and to a family that wishes to remain anonymous tonight for making this challenge possible. If you make a gift of $500 or more, they will match up to $70,000 so Komen can continue these programs in our community.
You know, that's right, Andy. We have generous donors who really want our services and programs to be available this year and beyond. So when you give, think about making a monthly gift in an area which interests you. A gift of $50 or $87 per month equals $600 or $1,000. Ask your employer to match your gift. Other options include making a stock gift or including Komen in your estate or will.
You know, Komen's resources are very limited right now. We have been put to the test, as I shared earlier, and we need your support like never before. A gift of any amount will be meaningful and important to our future. You know, I came to Komen almost 6 years ago, and I know so many of you who are out there tonight who have been mentors, friends, guides for us. You've put your trust in us. You've believed in what we do, and you've invested so much. And never did I imagine I'd be standing on a stage talking to you through a computer screen with Janine. And so tonight, I share with you how important it is that our mission must continue, and without you, we will not be here next year. So I ask you from the bottom of my heart to do what you can to help us push this forward, to do the things that we just shared moments ago, for people like Ty that deserve to live, and so many other thousands of women and men facing metastatic breast cancer.
You know, Andy, you're right. This year has been so hard for so many people in different ways. People have lost their jobs and are living in a pandemic. I can't even imagine how it would feel to be diagnosed with breast cancer right now when we're living through all of this craziness.
Indeed. You know, breast cancer screening rates we know have declined during the pandemic, and breast cancer cases and deaths will rise because of these historical events. So there's no better fight to support today than Komen. So let's come together for Komen this evening, for the patients we serve, their families, to make a difference for our communities and their breast cancer journeys. Their survival is in our hands. You know me, you know Komen, you know what we do. And we hope that you will be a part of this effort tonight. I have already received emails and texts from folks who have said, Andy, I can't deal with technology, but put me down for a certain amount of dollars. Many of you have my email, you have my phone number. Of course, you can go online, you can see this here on the screen. Give what you can. And if you can't deal with KomenOregon.org, send me a note and we'll be sure to add that as we take a break for a few minutes to share how our fundraising numbers look. So thank you so much.
All of you, thanks again to Ty for courageously sharing her story. It's a story that a lot of people share. Now, Andy, we've raised $500,000. Excuse me, I'm reading that wrong. $181,500 toward our $350,000 goal. So we still have a really long ways to go, but we appreciate those donations so much. But if you haven't, or if you can give again, that would be wonderful. Please give tonight what you can. We really need to reach our goal. Andy, thank you and your staff for giving us hope for where Komen is going in the fight against this horrible disease. I'm part of the team, and I totally believe in us.
We often talk about how we're all a team at K103 and at Komen, and you are the best of the best, and to be able to be on stage with you, I'm so honored to share that with you. I just have a few words for you to remember that we need your help to be here tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, because breast cancer will continue. We thank you for standing up with us, rising up in support of Komen, and helping us to continue our mission that has served all the communities in Oregon and Southwest Washington for nearly 3 decades. That's 3 decades. We need your help. We must get to that goal. Our mission counts on this. So thank you for being our guest tonight and for your generosity, for those of you that emailed and texted. I know others will reach out here in the coming days. You are Komen. We are Komen together. We always have been and always will be. So I wish you all a wonderful evening.
No, you are literally saving lives tonight, tomorrow, and beyond. When you lay your head on your pillow tonight, know that you have really helped other people. And join us again next May for Lunch for the Cure. We wish you a great evening. Please stay safe.
Thank you.